All right, hello students. Today we're moving on with lesson 16, writing expressions in which letters stand for numbers. Once again, letters that stand for numbers are called variables. So we're still kind of working with that and dealing with our different operational words. All right, so if we look at classwork, opening exercise, it says underline the key words in each phrase. Well, what this means is to underline um, operational words. So words that mean an operation, words that mean addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, or an exponent. Um, and then also, if there's a word that means a variable or that means some kind of other number. So if we look at this, it says the sum of twice b and 5. So if we look at the operational words or the important words, we have sum of and twice. This part right here is the important phrase because of course sum means to add and twice means to multiply by 2. All right, so if we can continue going down here, it says the quotient of C and D. Well, once again, the operational word here is quotient. Of course, quotient means division. If we continue kind of looking down, um, on number C, it says A raised to the fifth power and then increased by the product of 5 and C. So one of one thing that should be underlined, of course, is fifth power because it's talking about an exponent. Next, we should see is increased by because this means we're adding. And there's one more here, and of course, the word product because this means we are multiplying. So what I would like you to do kind of on the next three, I want you to pause the video and try to underline or think about what you should underline for these next three sections and then come back and see if it matches what I tell you. All right, so hopefully you gave this a try. If we look at D, it says the quantity of A plus B divided by 4. So of course we would have plus and divided by. You would also want to use quantity because quantity is members like the sum. It means we have to answer the addition problem before we do the division. So that is an important word. It indicates something that we have to do. If we look at the next one, it says 10 less than the product of 15 and C. So of course, less than means to subtract, and of course, product means to multiply. And the last one, hopefully you get this words mean. It means the operational words or words that imply an operation. Or like quantity means I have to do this operation first. All right, so if we kind of look at our the next part, we can then work our way down. It says modeling exercise 1. So now we're going to take kind of the word phrases that we have and actually come up now with a expression. So it says model how to change the expression using the opening exercises from words to variables and numbers. So now we're going to take this, we're going to take the sum of twice b and 5, and now we're simply going to write out an expression. So it says the sum of, so remember the sum of means that everything after the word of right here gets added together. So twice b remains twice b or 2 times b and then added to c. Sorry, not added to c, excuse me, I meant 5. I don't know why I put c. Um, if you, the difference between the sum of twice b and the sum of b and 5, because twice would have to come in front of it. It'd say twice the sum of. And that means that b and 5 by themselves would be in parentheses. But remember, sum of means that all of this is going to kind of go together. Now, you could put parentheses around this. There's no need to because that's all that there is. All right, if you look at the next one, it says quotient. Remember, was our key word. I like to start writing them as fractions because this is where you're going to see division problems now. The quotient of C and D, so C divided by D. Look at the next one. It says A raised to the fifth power, so remember fifth power, and then increased by the product of 5 and C. So this one, remember, we have to multiply this together before we do the addition. So let's kind of go through this again. A, so raised to the 5th power, so that's our exponent. Increased means we're adding. The product of 5 and C. So 5 times C. Now remember, we don't use the X anymore because we're talking about variables. Now you could put parentheses around this. You don't have to because multiplication comes before addition. So you don't need to. And the next one, it says the quantity of A plus B. This is like having the sum. Remember, this has to be done first before we divide by 4. So now this one needs the parentheses. So A plus B needs the parentheses, and then we're going to divide by 4. Well, you could use a division sign. Like I said, I'm going to start using the fraction more often, and so we're going to divide it by 4. Okay, so there you go. That's kind of kind of what we took. We took the keywords, and now we wrote it as a division problem. Sorry for this one down here, just real quick. You could, of course, written it like this, but remember when we're talking about a keyboard, we can't find this division sign without doing some changes to our keyboard. So that's why we're starting to get used to the fractional bar. All right, other than that, go and stop the video and go and move on to the next one. All right, hello students. We're going to continue going through kind of the last two, and then we're going to talk about kind of some more, I guess, lengthy or in-depth questions and kind of discuss how we kind of pull out information. So let's go and finish up these real quick. This one says 10, remember, less than the product of 15 and C. So remember, the word less than here means that the 10 actually comes to the other side. Okay, the minus 10 actually comes to this side. So what we want to have, of course, is the 15 times C. Remember, we don't use the X for multiplication when we deal with variables. And then minus 10 because there's our subtraction. So here's our product going on, and here's the less than of 10 or the subtraction of 10. Excuse me. Next, it says 5 times D. And then, so we're going to do the multiplication and then increase it by 8, which means to add 8. So 5D, of course, is just multiplication, or 5 times D, excuse me, multiplication. Increased, of course, is addition. And of course, we're adding 8. All right, so there you go. It kind of finishes up the other exercise. If we look down here, now we're going to kind of use modeling exercises kind of more in real world situations. You don't really see situations like this in the real world. There's other things going on, and we have to kind of pull out or underline the important text and the important information. So if we look here, it says model how to change each world scenario to an expression using variables and numbers. Underline the text to show the key words. So once again, keywords are key phrases before writing the expression. So we're going to underline, and then we're going to write the actual expression. Very similar to what we did, but now these are a little bit more real world. As we go through this, please forgive me if I pronounce the names wrong. The names aren't that important. What's important is the content of the mathematics behind it. So let's go ahead and look at this. It says Marcus has $4 more than Yasin, it looks like. If Y is the amount of money Yasin has, write an expression to show how much money Marcus has. Well, if we look at the important pieces of information, the most important piece of information is right here, $4 more than Yasin. And then the other piece of information that's important is that we're letting Y represent Yasin's money. So there you go. All this other stuff is just kind of telling us what to do. So if I'm looking at $4 more than Yasin, where Yasin is Y, so let's go and write that underneath it. Well, I could write it in a couple ways. So first I underline the important pieces of information, and then I'm going to go ahead and write it out. Well, 4 plus, remember, more than means to add, and then Y. You also could have written this because of the word more than, THAN. You could write this Y plus 4. And this is kind of the way most people want to see it because of the word than means it goes to the other side. Very similar to the less than up here where 10 had to go to the back of the expression. But because this is addition, it doesn't matter. When it comes to subtraction, it absolutely matters. So please make sure you keep that in mind. All right, so that's it. That's kind of what we're doing with these different kind of more lengthy phrases. All right, so look at 2 more examples real quick. Here it says Mario is missing half his assignment, so he didn't do half her assignment, or he can't find half his assignment. If A represents the number of assignments, write an expression to show how many assignments Mario is missing. So they don't give us a number of the actual assignments he has. They say let A represent the missing assignment. Let A represent the number of assignments, excuse me, altogether. So that's part of the information because that's the variable that we need to use. The other part of the information is that he is missing half of his assignments. So if he's missing half of his assignments, that means it's being divided by 2 or being multiplied by 1/2. So you could do it kind of a couple ways. First, we're letting A represent his assignments right here. And to show half, we could simply divide it by 2. This is one way of representing the situation. The other way to show a half is just simply by a half. And instead of, since we have a half, we're actually multiplying it by A. So this is 1/2 times A. So there's two different ways of showing this. So if I take half of a number, it's the same thing as dividing it by 2. If you think about it, if we let A equal 4, 4 divided by 2 is 2. A half of 4 is still 2. So so that's why these are the exact same expression. Remember, we multiply a fraction, you multiply a whole number times the top number. A times 1 is just simply A, and it turns into this expression right here. So it's kind of just to help you kind of remember that half can either just simply mean divided by 2, or you can actually use it as a half, but then A has to be multiplied. All right, and the last one, Camilla's weight has tripled since her first birthday. If W represents Camilla's weight at her first birthday, write an expression to show. So once again, her weight has tripled. So tripled is one of the key parts right here. Triple, of course, means to be multiplied by 3. If you triple something, it's multiplied by 3. If you get a triple in baseball, you get to third base. Same thing. Next part I think is important is what the variable represents. W represents the amount of Camila's weight. So this is a very important piece of information because of the variable, and then what's going on with the variables is being tripled. So those are kind of the key pieces right there. So very simple, 3 for the triple, 3 times what she weighed at her first birthday, which of course is being represented by W. All right, so there you go. That's the only thing that really works for this. Tripled means to multiply by 3, and then the W represents her weight. So there you go. So once again, taking real world situations and kind of breaking them down into basic expressions. All right, so based on that, you should be able to move on to the assignment for the day. Go ahead and stop the video and go ahead and move on.